What up? What up? Welcome back into another edition of the Talking Ball podcast with my boy L Train, Big Faro in the building.
What up?
Week 4. We're a quarter of the way through the college football season already, and I think college football might be done in both Gainesville and Tallahassee.
It's pretty safe to say it might be done.
Doom and gloom. The Gators are terrible. Florida State is terrible. I think we're going to rebrand the podcast to This Week in Miami Hurricanes Football.
Talking Canes.
Talking Canes, baby. That's what it's about to turn into.
Hey, man, you got the two teams up north that played the hardest schedules in the country according to their coaches. So,
yeah, no, it's pretty bad. Like I say, I don't know. We knew Florida was gonna. We knew this was gonna be a tough year for Florida, anyways, with the schedule. Yeah. But on top of that, just the way they've come out the gate, the first 3 weeks have been obviously terrible against both Miami and Texas A&M, but two of the teams that are pretty good. I can't even revel in how bad the Gators are because like I can't even take pride in like how bad Florida State's playing. And like pick on Florida State fans because it's depressing. That's
no, the funniest text I got from you. I was telling someone the other day. I was like, "Yeah, my boy Sponge is like, dang, Florida State looks bad and they're losing, but I can't even enjoy it because the Gators suck."
Exactly. I can't enjoy the bottomless pit of Texas or of Florida State football with Mike Norvell and the crying Seminoles. Now it's who's the worst, because like I said, you look at the schedule. This probably is Florida's last win if they can get it on the road, which I don't.
We'll talk
about that in a say But then you start looking at Florida State's schedule, like where's their first win coming?
Right?
So I don't know because like both teams are just reeling, and it's obviously I think Florida State is the bigger shock. I mean, they started the season
100% for sure.
They started the season in the top 10, dude. So at least we knew the Gators sucked. So like, I was going on.
Even if we thought the Gators were decent, you knew it was going to be tough sledding.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We were already not good, and it was like I'm just going off of optimistic of. It's kind of like going back to where after that week 1 loss to Georgia Tech when Florida State had it is. All you do is hear the sunshine pumping of the staff of how good they're playing, how good they're looking. You're watching all the little cut-ups of spring ball to fall camp to this to that.
But even all the media members that have gone to Florida State practice, they've said like they're two different teams. Like what they see when they're at practice, they're like, "Hey, this team's good. They got talent. They got size. They're executing in practice." And then when they get to the football field on Saturday, it's like, what happened to that team that I saw the other day? So that's what you've been hearing a lot of from a lot of the national people that have actually put eyes on Florida State during the week.
Yeah, like I say, I can't put my finger on Florida State. They got it's not everybody wants to put it on DJU, but it's a multitude.
No. Oh, I'm going to talk about that.
We'll definitely get to Florida State. Let's just go ahead and jump right into last week what we saw in the swamp, which was a shit show. Again, we knew that Connor Wegman was a possible no-go.
Right.
I didn't know much about Marcel Reed because I don't remember that bowl game, but he lit that bowl game up last year for Texas A&M. And then what really, I guess, struck my chord to make me go take a look at his numbers in that game was watching Game Day last week when they were picking the games. He was the last pick, and he was like, I think Marcel Reed actually is going to infuse different life into this A&M team. He's a different player than Wegman. He's got legs. He's got a live arm. He's an athlete. He just looks good. And so I was like, shit, let me go look at this guy. And then, I was like, okay. And then you can see from the first drive, my mom came over to watch the game with us. And I literally, after that first drive, I was like, we're about to get our ass kicked. Like, this is about to be, because I was like, this kid has juice. And from on top of that, you get him in like a 2nd and 28 on like the first drive of the game, and he runs for like 41 yards. I was like, the amount of 3rd and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 that they picked up was ridiculous. I'm so beyond done with Billy's decisions and his hires, and like Ron
It's
Roberts.
one of the worst. It's the worst staff in college football.
Ron Roberts is
Power
officially
five.
the defensive coordinator. They hired him over to basically babysit for Austin Armstrong. They said the job was too big for him, so he's in the booth. Nobody even knows where Billy Ho is up there. And guess what? He's getting paid $1 million. Like, we have two coordinators that are getting paid $1 million each, two of the highest paid coordinators, and they absolutely suck at their jobs. They don't know how to run defenses. They don't know how, like, two big time busted blown coverages for easy touchdowns. Not even like, okay, they drove down the field on us. We're just soft as cotton, and they're just continually to pound us. But I'm talking about just letting guys run loose. Like, DJ Douglas does not need to see 12. 12 for the Gators needs to go sit in the bushes every Saturday.
Well, you could see where they're not sure on trading off players. The one on the sideline, it was just like you see him cutting across the side, and you're like, all right, who's trading who? And then, like you said, Reed just rolled out to the left and just dropped it to him. Then the one to the tight end, I think that was the first touchdown where he split the safeties. And you're like, what are you doing? But with all that being said, if I'm Mike Elko, I give the game ball to the offensive line, because as good as Marcel Reed played,
he rushed for 300 yards, man.
They beat up that Florida defensive line. Hey, get Big Dez's ass off the field.
He's terrible. He's terrible too. That's the other part.
Sparks, how do you have two guys over 350 pounds and at both D tackles, and they're still blowing them off the ball? The offensive line for Texas A&M was still blowing them off the ball. And that was one of the things I highlighted last week when we were talking about this game, is like, I'm curious to see the Texas A&M offensive line, because Mike Elko is one of those, hey, I want to be physical on both lines of scrimmage. And for Florida not to be able, even in the Miami game, even in the Sanford game, to watch those big defensive tackles and D linemen, and you're like, guys, you got zero penetration. They caved. When I rewatched the game, they were caving in 400 pounds. How do you cave in 400 pounds?
It was embarrassing. Like,
with a true freshman center, freshman center.
Yeah, no, like I say, they rushed it 55 times for 310 yards right up our ass, and it was, and then Marcel was just, he was picking us apart, like big plays down the field.
He was just orchestrating it,
and he was even hitting like just intermediate stuff. He was perfect. And then on the flip side, going to Florida's offense, like they couldn't get out of their own freaking way. And it was like what are we?
The same play. It's the same plays over and over again.
It is. It is like I'm officially over it. And like again, I could give a shit about watching Florida football this year. I don't even care anymore. I am beyond, like, I don't care. I'm for real. So like,
no,
when I look at the question of what we were talking, the whole debate was last week, how is he going to play the quarterback situation? Is he going to let Mertz go for a couple series to see where he's at? Is he going to go every other series? And literally he went every other series. And I've talked to a few people, Gator Dave, a couple other guys, like, this is how much Billy can't even. This is where he's in over his head and he can't even do his job. He can't even make a decision, so he's just going to rotate him every single series and just
screw that.
Not even get the hot hand, or just go with DJ. So like, because obviously Mertz played better than DJ, he did. So there was a series in there where I would have liked to have been like, you know what, let's let Mertz go another series. Instead, DJ comes back. You just get no flow of the game. Like the play calls are different. Like again, the offensive line has regressed. They're terrible. They can't block anybody.
They're terrible.
We can't create any run game. Like it's all bad. Then your star players out, so like your best offensive weapon who can give you any kind of juice. So just getting them a jet handoff.
Montreal had 4 carries in the first half.
Yeah, well, they only ran. What was bad was they only ran like 12 plays in the first almost the whole first half.
A&M had that 12-play drive to end the first half.
Yeah, they controlled the clock. Like I say, the other thing too is this is going back to the other thing too about the Gators. What I've noticed in the first 3 games, like their lack of passion, their lack of heightness, whatever they're not jacked. They're playing lazy. They're not even into the game. It kind of translates to where I've watched the Jags play. Like they don't even look like they care to be out there. They're just out there. It's like when you watch some of these other teams, they're playing like their hair's on fire. They're jacked up. They're fired up. Like
Texas A&M is a prime
example of that. They're having fun. Like like the game is supposed to be fun. Like when I watch, now you tell me this: when I watched Trayon get carries, he was running hard. He was running passionate. Like
Yeah.
you could tell he was into the game. Like it was a few guys that are playing that way. But guess what? Football is an 11-man sport. You got to have all 11 guys.
It's not basketball.
In
Definitely not
cognizant.
basketball.
Yeah, you can't wing it and be like, okay, these 2 guys are balling tonight and the other 3 aren't. Like it just doesn't work that way.
So on that 12-play drive, right? They get down to, I think it was the 10, where they get the block in the back and then the personal foul that puts them back to the 50.
Yep.
And then you give them 2 back-to-back penalties to basically give them the touchdown from the 1-yard line.
Yep.
And it's like they're so undisciplined. When it comes to undisciplined, that doesn't mean just personal fouls. Undisciplined within the scheme.
Yeah, they don't know what the hell they either don't know what the hell they're doing or like again, it's that's what I think is the most infuriating. Like going back to that was the second blown one by DJ Douglas was literally right after we finally scored a touchdown and got on the board. So you're like, okay, like now it's a 2-score game. Can we get a stop for once and then maybe go down and get another score and make it a 1-score game? Make it interesting in the second half? No, you literally give up a touchdown on the very first play of the drive. And when you watch that defense, it's like I don't even know what the hell they called because it looked like Jason Marshall was playing a different style.
That's what I'm saying. They had one high
safety. They had one high safety on there. Castell was the one high safety. He's up top. He's looking like he's in man. So then you're like, okay, now it looks like Jason Marshall's in man, but he was kind of like turned with his back to the sideline,
like a cover 2 almost.
And then what was weird was Douglas was coming off like the slot, and then he definitely bid on the run fake.
Yep.
And then that was his man that came in motion on the play, and then he just kind of like sailed off to the sideline, like guard nobody, like he did on the first touchdown.
He just lofted that thing right over their heads.
It's the easiest touchdown Marcel Reed will ever throw. So it's like, it's a combination, like you said, undisciplined or just dumb football players or just not knowing the scheme.
It's a combination of everything.
Bad communication, all of that. And it's like I say, it is. And I'm tired of the Billy Napier press conference. We're doing things in practice, simulating reps, and blah, blah, blah. Like it's the same. Like you say, the offense is the same. It's the shit is stale, and it's sorry, and it's trash, and I'm done with it. And like I say, the sad part is I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get Lane Kiffin now.
That's what I was trying to tell you. Like if you're Lane and you're at Ole Miss and you're going deep into the season, you're actually going to miss the first window for signing day.
Yep.
Then you're going to miss the transfer portal.
December 5th, I think, is signing day. And guess what? The very first, all I can pray for is this is what I'm praying for. I'm praying for Ole Miss losses. Everybody play Ole Miss, and their schedule sucks too. But come on, Oklahoma, when you play them. Come on, LSU. You hope that they miss the playoff. That way, they don't get to play because the first round of the playoffs is like December 21st, like 2 weeks, 2 weeks after signing day.
Yep. Not just that, but then the transfer portal.
Well, the portal window opens like at that same time.
Yep.
So, like you get Lane, like it's a pie in the sky theory, all that. Like
it really is. Because I can't see a coach saying
I'm might
leave this team during the playoffs to go to another team.
Yeah,
that needs a coach. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it is Lane Kiffin, and he has
done for sure
weird stuff before. Where,
it's more so of the timeline is very like
it's not.
I don't know, man. It's kind of like everybody talking about they want Billy fired now. It's like, look, he's going to get fired. He is dead man walking. There's nothing that's going to save his job.
Who's going to take over play calling?
That's what I'm saying.
With that terrible staff, the only guy that probably has head coaching experience is Dan Enos, which as a Miami fan, Dan Enos is terrible.
Exactly.
As an OC, and he wasn't good at where I think he went to Massachusetts or somewhere up north as a coach, and he was bad up there. So, like, what's the rush? You can't hire a coach until the end of the year unless you bring in Bob Stoops or Urban Meyer, someone that doesn't have a job.
Yeah, Urban already said that ship sailed for him anyways.
But what needs to happen, though, honestly, as an outsider looking in, president probably needs to be fired, but you can't fire the president.
Well, like I told you before, the president is not even. He's the
interim.
This is where it's a shit show. He was the president for a long time. He was the president, I think, when Urban was there. He resigned. He stepped down. They got a new president. Well, no, he just resigned, I think. They brought in a new president, the guy Ben Sass, the senator from Nebraska, who a lot of people didn't like because of his politics and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he was in place. Well, his wife got sick or something, and he resigned. So he like left, and now they brought the guy who was in before him just to come back in as be the guy.
The interim,
But so it's a mess with that. Scott Strickland needs to be fired too. Like he does not need to be.
I've been saying that.
Well, I've already heard too that the boosters are like, he is not making the next hire. He doesn't even get to come in the room.
Well, see, and that's the problem. Who's going to make the next hire? Is it the boosters and their money,
or
is it the AD?
Like. That's what it's looking like now.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's what it's looking like now, because are they going to fire Strickland? Or again, it's the whole timeline thing of, you're going to fire Strickland and Mullen at the middle of the year and then bring in a new AD before that. And then he's going to figure out the hire. Yeah. Like, I don't know the dynamics of all that, what they would do. They would have to fire him and then bring in an AD, mid-season or whatever, end of the season, to make the decision of, all right, this is who we're zeroing in on coach. And, we'll come together as the boosters, whatever. Like, because again,
it's bad.
If they're literally going to keep Strickland in there, they're not going to. He is like, you don't get to come in the room, buddy. You're not making this.
No, because the story, I mentioned this to you. I heard Matt Hayes talk about this the other week on the radio, and he was saying that the last hiring cycle where Lincoln wanted to interview, Brian Kelly wanted to interview, hell, even Lane kind of wanted the job.
No, Lane wanted the job. No, Lane did. I've heard on numerous accounts, Lane is kind of pissed at Florida that they didn't even entertain him.
They didn't interview anyone.
Right.
That's malpractice for your university if you don't use a search firm or whoever to at least get an interview in for those guys. And you said we just turn all interviews down and Billy was our guy. And then this is what this is what it looks like. Yep. You should not make the next hire. If this is what it looks like, the coach.
Go down the track record of who else he's hired. Like the rest of the guys he's hired are terrible too. Like there's been an incident. Like I'm not even going to get into. I guess the women's basketball coach was like abusing the player. I don't know. I don't know the whole story, but he got fired
allegedly.
Yeah, exactly. So
until
it comes. The only hire that he's done a good job on is Golden at the basketball team. But I mean, hell,
but even that was shaky at the beginning,
right? He still hasn't won nothing. So it's just it looks better. The product looks better, but it's again. The only saving grace is Billy's buyout is $26 million, to whereas the team out west is stuck with Mike Norvell for another 2 seasons, and hopefully he sucks just as bad as he did. He pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. Jordan Travis saved his career to get bags for him, because, like I say, I'm done talking about the Gators, so we'll move on to Florida State now, so we can talk about the shit show in Tallahassee, because they're terrible. They're awful. They are awful too. Their offense can't get out of their own way. Like DJU's terrible. The running backs are terrible. The receivers are terrible. The O-line's terrible. The defense can't stop a nosebleed. Like, they are bad. It's bad. Like, I think Florida and Florida State are going to be one win teams playing.
I can't wait for Florida State week. I cannot wait for Florida State week. Hey, what channel are we playing that on TV? PBS?
That's on Pluto with the WNBA.
The History Channel?
Yeah, it needs to be on one. Yeah, because it's historically bad how both of these teams. I think it was like the stat was like 1955 or something. Like the last time
I saw
these teams were under 500 or winless or whatever.
At the same time, it's bad.
At the beginning of the season.
Yes. Watching that Florida, going into last week, we both thought, okay, this is a man up game for Florida State. It didn't matter about X's and O's. It's just, hey, we're going to go out there. We're going to give our effort. We're going to be physical. We're going to fly around the football, and we're just going to make plays. Second play, Roydell fumbles on the down.
Second play of the game, dude tattoos that chest, ball out. Memphis recovers, go down the field.
And you're just sitting there watching it. And you're like, okay, all right, he fumbled. They'll bounce back. And then you steady watch the game, and it's just like Memphis just made play after play after play. And you're like, all right, so this defensive line we keep touting, and they haven't done a thing. They haven't done a damn thing. So we thought, okay, Memphis is not going to be physical and run the football. They're going to throw the ball. So maybe the defensive line could get off and get pressure. Nope, didn't even do that. Linebackers are flying all over the field, but they're flying in the wrong directions. The secondary can't figure it out. Like, I think they hit the tight end. Memphis hit the tight end the whole game, and the tight end was just killing them the
82
whole
was
game.
Like 82. Every time they needed a big catch, I'm like, well, there's
that was the guy. And he was, but it was like
it feel like he had a ton of catches, but he only had like 5 for 66. So
he had 5-6 big catches in the middle of the field when there was no one around him.
Yeah,
and then, you remember the one he dropped? He had one at the end of the game to pretty much ice the game, and he just couldn't corral it in good enough, and it dropped. And watching the Florida State offense, as I'm watching the game, I don't know if you remember me telling you this last year, but I think Jordan Travis hit it so well because he's that good. That offensive blocking scheme, that offensive line blocking scheme is god awful. I don't know if it's the players or the blocking scheme that is bad, because as I'm watching the game,
it's probably both.
Every time you're watching a pass rusher, their offensive liners they're catching guys. They're not initiating the blow. They're catching guys, so they can't catch everyone.
That's the worst thing to do too.
As an offensive lineman, is to catch people on the rush up, and then they like to do this scheme of, oh, we're going to pull this guy to the other side to block the backside, or we're going to pull this guy around in a blocking scheme. So it's like, not only are you not stopping the pass rush because the other 4 guys are catching people, this other lineman is pulling around and he's getting bumped off by the guys getting blown up from the other defensive lineman. So, and then you're watching DJ. What is DJ supposed to do when a guy's in his face as soon as he gets the ball? And that is literally the whole game. Literally the whole game. If he's able to throw the ball, and he's gun shy. Any quarterback would be gun shy if
he's already kind of it kind of looks like Trevor with the Jags. Like the minute he's back, it's like, so if he does get a clean pocket, he's like, oh, somebody's got to be coming quick, so I got to go.
I got to get rid of it.
So they have that mentality of, you already have that 3 to 4 second clock, but even when sometimes you do have that clean pocket, you're still like, I got to get rid of this thing, or I got to move. I mean, again, the problem is he's completing about 50% of his balls still. He had some decent, like Benson finally showed up and had 99 yards receiving. But again, you're not getting anything from anybody else. None of those other guys that we talked about are stepping up. Your run game stinks. It's just everything is not working. And so
here are the numbers. You wanted the numbers. Here are the numbers.
I know it was like 16 to 30 for like 200 yards or something like that.
No, this is their national.
Offensive. Yeah. Offensive. Yeah.
Through the first 3 games, they're 132nd in rush yards per game. They're 130th yards per carry. They're 108 total offense. They're 125 third down conversion. If you can't convert on third down, you're not going to win.
Exactly. Trust you can't, because you're not getting you're not continuing drives.
No,
you're putting that sorry ass defense back on the field who can't stop anybody.
125 in offensive TDs. They're 124th in scoring efficiency. They're 119th yards per play, 94th yards per attempt, 75th yards per completion, 74th passing offense. Like, you're not winning in major college football with those numbers. That's numbers I expect from like FAMU, NIU, Ohio, Ball State, and even their numbers are way 100 times better than that.
Yeah, like I say, then on the flip side, you talk about how bad the defense is. So that just that is the recipe for 0-3 bad start. And like again, you look at the schedule, you look at who they're playing. It's like where are they going? This is one of those things that doesn't, like, watching it after the second week when they lost to Boston College. I was like, this is not correctable. Like you always talk about like
week
obviously
1,
like
week 2.
Well, prime example, like the Gators situation, blown coverage, that's correctable. Get the right guy on the field. Don't blow coverages. That type of stuff's correctable. Getting blown off the ball is not. And that's basically what's happening. That's what's happening with the Gators, but that's also like Florida State, just getting completely blown off the ball. Everybody's running on them. Everybody's gashing them. And then, like you said, everybody's getting to the quarterback, making life hell for DJ. They can't run the ball at all. So it's like that shit is not getting fixed. You ain't fixing that. So
and the only thing they could do, looking at it right now, is they're not firing Mike after just giving him a 10-year extension. You're already paying multiple coaches. So the only thing, if I'm Mike, I am firing Alex Atkins, and I'm getting a better offensive line coach, and I'm changing this scheme. That offensive scheme is great when you have a guy like a Jordan Travis that can say, all right, this guy slipped in here. I could get out the corner and maybe roll out and get a pass off, because DJ's just not that guy. DJ's athletic and DJ can run, but it's a different kind of running than Jordan Travis.
I got a question for you. And this is like, again, this is basically how you live in the transfer portal world of just fitting pieces
You're
together
gonna
and trying to
die.
figure it
Yeah.
out, right? Okay, so what is this is a realistic thing here. Okay, so you rolled with DJU. Obviously, he's not the guy. So now, when do you finally just say, you know what, we got to go with one of these other quarterbacks to see what we got behind? Like, because if you just hitch your wagon to DJ, which he's already said, like this week in the presser, he's like, we're gonna, DJ's the guy. So here's my thing: if you go ahead and hitch your wagon the rest of the season to DJ, you don't even know what you got behind you. So now you're going into next season thinking, okay, we're just going to roll with Brock Glenn or Luke Cromenhoek, or one of these guys is going to be the guy.
I honestly think that's just coach speak. And I think another 2-3 weeks of this, he's probably trying to get to the next bye week to make the change. He has to make the change. The only reason why I say he doesn't make the change is because he knows if DJ can't process it fast enough, those two behind him aren't going to process it fast enough.
Yeah,
and he's probably like, that'll be malpractice to put those two young guys in.
I guess the whole point is, like, you better figure out what you got behind you for next year, because like I say, totally this season is, because here's the thing, you're literally going for, okay, we're stuck with these two quarterbacks, Brock Glenn or Luke Cromenhoek. I don't know what they are. I've never seen them play. Or you got to go get somebody in the portal again.
You got to get some. You got to get them on the field, like you say, to see what you have. But I just think they just need to simplify. The offense is pretty damn simplified at this moment. But I think they need to simplify their blocking scheme and just tell those guys, like, but it's a hard thing. It's easy for me to sit here and say, we're just going to tell our offensive linemen, we just need you to blow off the ball. But if that's what you don't do, it doesn't change all of a sudden. Because as much as everybody want to say, oh, the hardest position on the field is quarterback or corner or this, offensive line is pretty hard. Yeah. It's pretty hard because you're playing as one. Five guys have to play as one.
You got to get five guys in unison to know the style and scheme that you want to do.
And all it takes is one person to be off kilter.
Exactly.
And it can blow it up.
One guy gets beat. One guy doesn't do a double team correct. One guy doesn't pull fast enough. All those things, like you said, it's just that completely. You don't read the blitz right. You don't pick it up, and your quarterback's dead. The running backs stop for no gain. Like,
exactly. So as bad as DJ's played, you got to put a ton of that more on the offensive line than DJ. I'm not taking DJ off the hook, but if he has no time to throw the football, what do you expect him to do? If you can't run the football, what do you expect him to do? And part of the problem with the defense, when the offense is going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, they're steady on the field for what? Time of possession could easily be 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah, that was like Boston College.
Those 80 plays. Oh, a team like Boston College probably had like 70, 80 plays in that game.
Yeah, I remember. Well, you remember the first half of that game? I think Florida State went 3 and out, like literally the first 3 drives of the game.
Yeah,
it was just, and Boston College just basically just 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Exactly. So, like I say, we'll get into their game this week, but yeah, the Florida State is in. They're reeling, buddy.
They're
just as bad as Florida. As bad as Florida State.
The only difference is Florida could get rid of their coach. Not saying Florida State can't get rid of the coach, and this is not a shot saying Florida State doesn't have the money, but you just gave a guy a 10-year contract, and you're playing Willie, and you're paying who else? Probably Jimbo. So you just can't keep throwing millions and millions and millions of dollars out there.
Well, especially how you going to fire a guy who's allegedly a top 10 coach in college football?
Exactly. But he has to make staff changes. He might have to be on that bus of, hey, I need to hire an offensive coordinator.
Right.
Because him calling the plays, man. But before we move on from them, I think part of the problem too is everyone loved what they did in the portal per se, but he doesn't have that happy balance of portal versus high school guys. So, because these portal guys can leave again.
Yeah.
If people don't understand that, you get a graduate degree, you can just hop up and leave again. And, but I think Mike hasn't done a great job at recruiting high school kids.
It's been mid, basically.
It's been not say subpar, but average.
Yeah.
Plus, those guys aren't on the field. So at what point do you say, you know what?
Yeah, you got a 5-star
Hakeem
Williams.
Guys.
You got a 5-star corner and Charles Lester. Like you got to burn them. Let's see what they got.
Yeah, you might as well. I mean, you might, if you're going to go down with the ship, even with Billy. If you're going to go down, you might as well play your 5-star guys.
That's the other thing too. Is just like the only thing that changes is you obviously fire guys, but like you change the players on the field and you say, you know what,
Mm-hmm.
like let's let these other guys play.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to play, not like Big Dez, fat ass. Get your ass off the field. You suck. Like let's play another guy. But again, it's a mess in both spots, and like I say, I think both
It
teams are in
is.
for a
Yeah.
long season.
A lot of staff
Like
overhaul.
I'm
But
about I'm about to tell my boy, I'm about to tell my boy Cooney to send me some more hurricane gear because I'll jump on the bandwagon, baby.
hey man, they took care of business. I didn't
Yeah, you
think
were
it was going to
talking.
be.
I said 49-7. These boys won 62 to
Hey,
0.
I
But
didn't think they were going to put up that many. I thought they were going to get in, get out. The rain delay
y'all are
kind of.
good. Y'all are good, bro. Like just
I am not
take it
saying we're
one game
good.
at a
I
time. Put the blinders on.
take it
But
one. That's all I'm saying.
y'all are
One game at a
good.
time.
Y'all are really. I guess here's the thing, though. I mean, you did play the worst Florida Gator football team in the world, and you played Ball State and
FAMU.
FAMU. So, like, you're
Exactly.
going to play at least a team this week that has some sort of a pulse. But
Yep.
no, like this, it's been again another week of where you throw it for 500 yards. You threw it
Yeah.
for more than you ran it. But
Well, another
it was
week
an
of
easy
getting a lot
game.
of young,
Easy
another week of
game.
getting a lot of young guys in. It was
Yeah,
great to see AJ
Emory got a
Allen.
lot of reps.
Yeah, it was great to see AJ Allen get some reps and get over
Yeah,
100 yards rushing. I saw a lot of fans like, "What's going on with Oregon State guy
Martinez.
Damian
Yeah,
Martinez?" And I'm like, "Do you really need Damian Martinez or Mark Fletcher? Even though Fletcher got way more snaps this week, you're still easing both of those guys in. Now
yeah. I
this
mean,
week,
well, these guys are, what you got. Again, you're finding out what you got
yeah,
behind those guys too. Yeah,
exactly,
Martinez had 3 carries and Fletcher had 6 carries. So I mean,
yeah."
it's like efficiently when you look at the yards per carry, it was pretty crazy from Fletcher, Lyle, and Allen. It was
And then
like,
you had a lot of backups on the offensive line because Big Coop went down. I think Arnez Cooper went down in the first drive. So you had a backup at right guard, you had a backup at left guard, you had a backup at left tackle. So Carpenter, who's been amazing at center so far, great addition to replace Matt Lee, and Maono at right tackle were the only 2 starters that really played majority of the game this past week. So like I say, it's good to see that. And AJ Allen got off. Even Chris Johnson Jr. got a touchdown. So it was great to see the young guys get touchdowns. And then the defensive line with Alston and Barron and Barrow, those guys are still balling. But this week is a tough task coming up against South Florida. So, hey, I was happy with the win. I didn't expect it to be 62-0. I was thinking like maybe around the score you said 49-7, somewhere around there. But hey, a win is a win is a win. On the next week.
yeah, no, for sure. Like I say, I guess before we get into next week, we can talk about the other big games that we saw. Like we knew that early slate of windows had like the best games, and pretty much those games were probably the best games of the day. That LSU Carolina game
Whew,
was an
what a
awesome
game.
game. It was a fun to watch. I mean, South Carolina, they're allergic to winning like Arkansas. I think sometimes, like they just can't.
I just think if Sellers was in that second half, I think they would have won that game.
That was a big deal for sure. Even though one
Ashford
played
was
good,
terrible.
one played good.
Ashford?
In spots he played okay, but it was just well, here's the thing: they win that game if they don't have that terrible call.
With that too, yeah.
But I mean, like I say, LSU, for as bad as they played early, they, like I kept saying, in the text, was like they kind of got their sea legs. They steadied the ship. They took that
They
big
can't
hurt, that
they
big
can't run the
blow.
ball. They can't run the football.
Yeah,
With that
LSU.
offensive line, they can't run the
Yeah,
football. And it just seems
definitely
like
losing Emory, after that USC game.
no,
Definitely.
they're those guys aren't creating holes,
Yeah.
you would think, with those 2 big offensive tackles. But I think going forward, BK's just got to say, you know what? We're going to throw it 30, 40 times a game and just put it in the air because those
Yeah, I
guys,
mean,
they're great pass protectors, but they
yeah.
just can't run the football.
Yeah, they're gonna have to figure out a little bit of a ground game because Nussmeier can sling it. He's been doing it. Like it's kind of similar to the
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels.
Hey,
You
Kyron
got
Lacy needs more than 5 catches a game.
yeah. Kyron Lacy is definitely a problem. Receiver, and then I love one as well, the transfer from Bama.
Yeah.
But like they just
And then Mason Taylor, a tight end.
yeah, well, he's definitely like the easy target to hit him.
Mm-hmm.
To make just drives continue. But I was impressed with Carolina. Like I say, they came out with fire, intensity, and
Yep.
playing at home.
That place was
Letting
jacked up.
the place was super jacked, so it was one of those things where you're just like, they hit them early and
Mhm.
LSU was able to, steady the ship. But like I say, yeah, Sellers looked good early going in. Rocket Sanders, he's a beast, man. He was killing them
Yeah.
on the ground.
We
But
saw a
like I say,
little
that
beamer. We saw a little beamer ball with the block
yeah,
punt.
yeah, like I say, they had it. It was the game was awesome game. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you know what the problem is going to be though. I told you. You remember me saying this before the season. Some way, somehow, Shane Beamer in South Carolina gets guys there, and they're going to be
yeah,
just like the damn Pittsburgh Pirates. A lot of those guys are not going to be on that team next year.
yeah, like
A
Nick
lot.
Harbor, will
Yeah.
Sellers stay? All that because
Dylan Stewart at defensive end. A lot of those guys are not going to be there next year. Now, if they do stay, South Carolina's going to be a team to watch next season.
yeah,
If they
because like I
could
say,
keep all those guys there, they have a lot of talent. A lot of
yeah,
talent.
yeah, because like I say, I love Jared Brown at receiver. Like the guy they didn't really get involved is Nick Harbor, who 2 catches for 18 yards.
Yeah.
Just speedster on the field. But yeah, that defensive line they got is good.
Mhm.
Obviously, Rocket Sanders coming over was big just to be able to run the ball. Yeah, Ashford was 2 for 4 for 42 yards. And then he couldn't run it. He couldn't run it really well. But again, Nussmeier throws for almost 300. I mean, the kid for LSU almost had 100 yards rushing, but you just to complement LSU's pass game, they definitely have to have that ground game
You got
because
to have that ground game.
I just think that, but here, hell, going back to like a comparison, year 3 or whatever it is, the Beamer's there to like Florida. Now, granted, schedule's been different. I think they've split in head to head the last 2 years.
But
South Carolina beat
seeing
them,
what you see on the field
right?
from your own 2 eyes, it
Yeah,
looks better in Columbia than it does
yeah,
look in Gainesville.
totally. It looks like as of right now to start the season,
Yes.
so like I say, they play. Here's the problem with South Carolina. They they play Akron this week. Cool.
W.
Then the start of October, they get Ole Miss in Columbia. Then they go to Bama, to Oklahoma, and then they get Texas A&M at home. That's a 4-game stretch there.
Who
Then
they
they get a
finish out
reprieve.
here?
Then they reprieve with Vandy. Then they get Missouri at home, Wofford, and then they go to Clemson. So real quickly, they're like I say, I was talking to a buddy who's a South Carolina fan at work, and he's like, "Can we get to 6 wins?" He'd be
Can they
happy
get
with that.
this? I think this past weekend would have been 6.
Yeah,
When you think about
yeah,
it, this would have been the game for 6. They're
yeah,
going to
because
look back on it.
the rest of those, that's going to be a tough slate. And like I said,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Is like it looks good now, and hell, maybe they go upset one of those teams, or they fall back into what we
I
thought
mean,
they were.
looking at OU has not been impressive.
Yeah, OU. I think we'll talk about that.
But
I
yeah,
think
but
OU's.
it
I think
all
OU's going to
depends
get
on
their
the
doors
sellers.
blown.
But it all depends on the seller's injury and if he could get back
Yeah, I
healthy
agree.
and to where get that running game going. And then to have multiple freshman offensive linemen starting, like I say, they have talent in Columbia. It's just
Yep.
will that talent stay and mature, and will the people give Beamer enough time to say in year 5, if they keep all those guys in year 5, would be the year to where they could compete for the SEC.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, with LSU, it looked okay this weekend, but I think they're too light on their defensive line. Teams are just going to line up and run the ball on them, and they're just going to have to be in shootouts. I think that's the only way LSU is going to win this year. They got to
Yeah.
get in shootouts.
It's kind of like what they did last year. They had,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
they had the Heisman quarterback, and then they had the 2 first-round picks at receiver, which made it a
Yeah.
lot.
Mhm.
The offense was, you can count on that offense way more. But I mean, I still trust Nussmeier and those receivers more. Like again, they're going to continue
No,
to get
I
better
agree.
as
That's
the
what
year
I'm
goes on.
saying.
But they also like their schedule gets tough too.
Yep.
They still got to
Yep.
play Ole Miss and Bama and some of those teams.
Welcome to 2024 SEC, buddy.
Yeah, because again, we look at that top 10 or the top 8, and it's like 7 of them are from the
Mhm.
SEC. Well, guess what? They all got to play each other here in the next couple of weeks, which is going to be
Yeah.
fun to watch
It's
because
going to be real fun.
you're gonna find out who's going to be the separator. Like because the other game that was crazy was that, which I didn't take into account of it
West
because of the
Virginia
South
Pitt.
Carolina. No, the South Carolina game the week before beating the
Yeah.
hell out of Kentucky, was thinking like Georgia's going to just roll
Yeah.
against Kentucky, and then that game turns out to be just the
13-12.
one of the ugliest games of the day. And Georgia just can't get out of their own way. They can't do nothing. They look.
I
I
think
can't,
their offense, you could see if you go back and watch the game and watch Carson, you could tell he's not sure who he wants to go to. It's easy when you got a Brock Bowers and a Lab McConkey on the field where you're just like, I'm just going to put it in the spot. I already know my guy's going to be there. And just watching it, I mean, ETN had 88 yards, 80 or 90 yards rushing. They need more than that, but I don't think Carson's comfortable yet. It's kind of how last year started. He wasn't comfortable yet, but I think once he gets his weapons and they guys get on the same page, I think the offense is going to take off. But they better hurry up because they got Texas in a week or two,
they
and
got
the rest of
Bama.
that
They got
SEC
Bama.
schedule.
They got
Oh, it's
Bama in 2
Bama
weeks.
first? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
speaking
Like I
of
said,
Bama,
yeah, they stomped a mud hole in Wisconsin. They kind
yeah,
of.
I felt bad for TBD. It started off nice. He was able to run the football a little bit on some pulls, get some passes. So they had Bama off balance, and then that one run, you just got to get out of bounds, man. These
Yeah.
quarterbacks just got to know they got to get out of bounds. They can't keep taking these hits. They just can't. I mean, look at Tua. Hell, Caleb Williams Sunday night. You just go down the list of these guys, and you're just like, guys, just get down. If a coach gets mad at you for getting down, they're idiots. You got to get out of bounds. And once that injury happened, it was just Milrow all day.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I say, you kind of knew that was going to happen anyways, but they definitely piled it on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, that I just think I think Bama is still trying to find themselves offensively, and
I agree.
again, they'll continue to get better because if Milrow starts hitting passes, that's when it could be bad because
Especially the Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams is a beast, man.
he's awesome. The kid
Him
is
and Jeremiah
unbelievable.
Smith, Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith are probably two of the best young up and coming receivers in the
Oh yeah,
country.
well, I mean, Ryan Williams was number one in the class. He reclassified, and he was number one still. Like he was like
I
they
would
were
take Jeremiah
praying.
Smith over him, but yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be mad if I had the second pick and had to take him.
yeah. So like Ryan Williams was he was flirting. I saw the other day where it was I think it might have been this morning. He was on some team podcast with his teammates or whatever, and he was at the Iron Bowl game where I guess he was talking about he was flirting with Auburn, and then the
Yep, he was.
Milrow 4th and 31 to Bond was like, man, I got to go to Bama now.
Yeah,
But it was
I
like,
believe it. Yeah.
then it came down to, okay, when Saban retired was, could somehow, some way, DeBoer lose him.
He started that leading Auburn, and DeBoer went all balls to the wall with the in-house and sending guys there. And it was a great pickup, and the kid's only 17, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm
And he's
saying. He's young.
still learning the Bama way and all of that. And they're going to figure it out. They're going to be a fun team to watch. I mean, playing against Bama, you got to figure out how to stop Jalen Milrow on that. Him and Jam Miller in the backfield, because even Jam Miller had, I think, 80 yards rushing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, the other big one that I enjoyed in that early session was the backyard brawl. That was a good ass game.
Yeah,
the old Pitt Panthers and my boy Cade Bell pulled out the dub. Narduzzi was pretty fired up, talking about they beat the refs and West Virginia that day. But
hey,
like
Cade's
I say,
Cade's got that offense humming there.
No, for sure. They scored 38. Eli Holstein's been through for 300. Like he's been big. Like I say, they're kind of a sneaky now, ACC team. I don't know if they can make a run, but they've got some playmakers. So now it just comes down to defensively, they got to get a little bit better. But offensively, right now, Cade does have them humping. The quarterback's playing good.
Are you still poo pooing my who should be the next coach of Florida?
Yeah,
with Kerwin?
I don't want Kerwin.
Hey, what if he brought Cade with him to be the OC?
No, like I say, again, that's what I'm saying. That's almost what you need is some of these new age guys, because you look at like how college works. Lincoln Riley and all these guys were
but I'm just saying as him to come back to be the head coach, let Cade be the OC, and then who else? Who's on your list then? I think we got like 8 more weeks to talk about your list.
Well, what's funny is Matt Hayes literally took my I heard him talking about it this week.
Yeah.
The number one guy that nobody's really talking about too, that you got to take a run at just to throw it out there to him to be like, hey, you want this job? Who would that be? Who do you think? Obviously, they
Your
asked
boy
Urban the other
Dan,
day.
probably Dan Lanning.
No, this guy's actually not coaching right now.
So Urban or Bob?
No,
Who?
he's actually on set a lot of times with this guy right here.
Saban?
You got to make him say no, dog. You got to say, you want to come on down to
Nick.
Florida, Nick?
Hey,
you don't think they better ask him? Hey, Jimmy, is Nick interested in this Florida job at all?
Well,
not saying he would ever take it. Not saying he would ever take it, but you got to ask him.
Sponge. First thing is, if that's the pitch that the University of Florida is going to go with, he's not going to take the job because you're pitching the wrong person. You better pitch Miss Terry. That's who you better pitch.
Yeah, well,
that's the person you need to go to and say, "Hey, can Nick come and play?"
You want to come live in sunny Florida, Miss Terry?
Because if Miss Terry says no and y'all didn't come to me, Nick ain't going anywhere. I think he's at that point in his life to where I think he's having too much fun right now.
No,
yes,
I think
you got to do your due diligence. But back to what we were talking about earlier, you got to do your due diligence and check off all boxes of who you
better ask him. You better ask him. Like maybe he'd be like, you know what? I mean, I think with the way the game has changed with the whole, recruiting and NIL,
he don't want
to
to do any of that. No, he don't want to do any of that.
And I think he's actually enjoying the college game day and going to games and watching games. And
dude, just watch the clips with him and McAfee on set. He's having a blast.
Yeah, he's getting T-bones fed to him and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, why would you do that? So,
hey, did you have that on your bingo card?
I'm still asking him though. I'm still going to ask him.
No, for sure.
Yeah, the Urban obviously said, yeah, he said he was already getting stressed thinking about the situation down there. So
yeah,
we don't need Urban to have a heart attack. Yeah, it's literally like they put out the odds or whatever,
It's a young man's game now, especially in that position. But you want someone with a little bit more experience than Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, no, yeah, pipe dream. Obviously, Lane is the number one guy I would want. But again, the timeline, Lanning is another pipe dream. So that goes into the same thing because Oregon's probably going to be in the playoff. So those two guys are pretty much going to be out. Like I said, so now it's a question of, like I say, I go back to Glenn Schumann, who's been in that. Like,
but Kirby, if they're going into playoffs, Kirby may block that.
Yeah, I don't know how that works and how that you can't hire a guy, can't interview. I don't know how that works with blocking, but yeah, it's a mess, and like you can't just go be like like what's crazy is the number one odds guy like on the odds board is like Jamie Chadwell, which is like I will quit being a Florida Gator fan if that happens. Like you're basically bringing me
in. Sending my support to Jamie Chadwell. He's going to leave Coastal Carolina and come. But yeah, I mean, it's slim pickings though. Yeah, it's slim pickings when you look around the country and who's going to be that guy. I mean, would you be happy with a Joe Brady type guy coming back to college?
I like Joe Brady, but I don't think he's going to leave either because I think he ultimately wants to be like an NFL coach.
But then he doesn't have a ton of head coaching experience either. So then you got to think about that. Like, what guys are even in the NFL where you're like,
the other guy that I know that I wanted as an OC, but he was already OC in the NFL was Brian Johnson. He was Dan's OC. That was Urban and Dan's quarterback at Utah.
If you're Florida, you can't go for a guy right now that has zero head coaching experience.
Right? No, hell no.
You just can't.
They were talking about would you steal Fran Brown already after 1 year at Syracuse? The DB coach from Georgia, who's now I know he was on the short list of things. But it's just like, these other guys like Lincoln Riley's not leaving USC.
No,
Brian Kelly. So you're just going to get a retread. Let's try to steal Brian Kelly away from LSU.
What about a Jeff Collins? Jeff Collins from Georgia Tech?
Hell no.
I mean,
no.
you
mean Brent,
I get it.
You mean Brent Key?
Sorry, Brent Key. My bad. I forgot Collins got fired.
I was about to say Jeff Collins was already our sorry ass defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I forgot he got fired. Brent Key.
Brent Key is I've seen him on the list too. I mean, obviously he's
I said last year I thought Mike Elko was going to be a hot hire, and I think A&M, I think they hit one.
Yeah, Elko,
I like Colin Klein as the OC.
Yep.
And they're going to get kids. They're going to get kids. I don't think they're going to be like national championship win the SEC, all of that. They may be able to sneak one every so often, but he's going to get guys in there. They're going to be physical. They're going to be disciplined, and they're going to play hard.
Yeah. All right. Screw coaching talk. We got all year to talk about that. They got to fire him first. But yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's jump on to this week's games and who we're playing. And Gators going to Stark Vegas on Saturday at high noon.
Mississippi State's terrible, but how are the Gators favored? 5.5, 6.
I guess it's because they lost to the MAC team by like 30 last week. Is what you do. You know, at least the Gators have lost to Miami and Texas A&M. I guess.
I mean, so did Notre Dame, and they hung 77 on Purdue.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, so I'm not comparing Mississippi State to Notre Dame.
I think who was it they played? I know they played Arizona State week 1.
Yeah, it was Arizona State.
And
I think Florida's going to win. They got to figure out, just keep it simple. Just try to keep the offense and defense simple. Run the football on defense. Let's just stop with the combo coverages and stuff. If you need to play straight man, play straight man. If you need to play straight zone, play straight zone.
Yeah, no.
But Mississippi State's going to take the playbook out of Miami and Texas A&M with putting guys in motion and trying to confuse them and all of that. But I think Florida should win, maybe by a field goal.
Yeah, no, I think the Gators somehow win this game too, just because I think. Are
you going to wear your hat next week if they do?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I changed it. They got to win 2 games to do that. Because like this is a joke game,
right?
Because Mississippi State is bad.
Yeah.
Like you don't lose by 30 to Toledo, like, and they obviously played like who are Western Kentucky or Eastern Kentucky.
But if Florida lost, would you be surprised?
Not at all. Not at all. I would not be surprised at all because, you know, Jeff Lebby, I think, is a good coach, but I think he got dealt, you know,
a raw. Yeah, he got dealt a raw deal.
I mean, his
they
team
should have never fired their last coach.
Well, what happened was the guy died, you know.
But no. They had a coach.
No, I know.
The last guy was an interim when the whole Leach thing, and then he became the coach for one season, and then they fired him.
Yeah.
And
like I say, that Mississippi State just got dealt a bad hand with the whole Mike Leach situation, you know.
Yep.
RIP to the Pirate, you know, but it was like then you're just fighting an uphill battle too, because you're like Mississippi State's always been one of those middle SEC West teams when you had the divisions, and you always had to play Bama and LSU every year, and it was just like that's tough sledding. You know, even when Mullen was there, the fact that they were able to win games. I think I'm hoping like Mertz actually looked decent last week, and that's what sucks is the fact that they were rotating to where they didn't go with the hot guy. I would have preferred you just said, you know what, we're not going to rotate every series. We're going to let a couple series go where we can get some consistency going. But you know, Mertz hit on his balls where DJ wasn't hitting, or they just didn't get first downs when DJ was in there. He got rushed a couple times and was, got sacked or he couldn't get out of the pocket. You know, I definitely want to see both quarterbacks still, because I think it's good to go ahead and burn DJ in there because Mertz ain't here next year. So let's go ahead and get him experience, kind of like going back to the Florida State thing. Is like, I know hopefully DJ's the guy if he stays, depending on coach and whatever. But hopefully Montreal can go in. But like, again, receiver wise, DK and Badger looked fairly decent.
Yeah, they look decent. I meant to bring that up about the game earlier. Yeah, I thought DK and Badger looked decent in the game. Eugene Wilson, does he even want to be there?
That's what I'm saying. He's already liking tweets about, firing Napier, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I heard he was a scratch last week and Matty could have gone. He's already ruled out for Saturday. So yeah,
he basically go with the guys that want to be on the field.
Yeah. So
at some point, Billy got to nut up and just stand in front of the team and just say, hey, if you don't want to be here, nothing against you. I'm probably going to be out of here by the end of the season anyway. Just go ahead, enjoy the rest of your scholarship, hang out. And the guys that want to be here and play, let's just go out there and finish up.
Yeah, like I say, it's DK, Badger look good. You would like a Eugene Wilson to be in that, so you have a nice little trio.
Right.
Boardingham looks like ass. He's overrated. I was afraid of that. Hansen has been decent at tight end, but again, the run game, if you can't pick up first downs, you can't get the run game going. Montreal, he hasn't looked good all year, really. Webb, play Webb. He looks like he wants to run the ball.
But you also got to give those guys more carries.
That's what I'm saying. The problem is they can't get carries because you can't get first downs.
Yeah.
So the plays are so limited. Like you literally have to like it. Just everything's hard. Everything looks hard. Nothing looks easy. And that's the worst kind of football to watch. When you watch other teams and you just watch watch Tennessee play.
So are you going to watch this game, or are y'all just going to go early pregame for Alanis Morissette?
I mean, Alanis isn't until 7 p.m. I'm going to the pool Saturday with Cruz if it's sunny because I'll take my little speaker I'll put it on the ESPN Gamecast or whatever and have it on. But I mean, if I'm at the house, I'll turn it on. But I'm planning on going to the pool Saturday, so I'm not tuning in. so yeah. So then
they're jumping ship. Jumping ship.
I'll DVR like the later games because I want to see that. I want to see Tennessee, Oklahoma.
They're jumping ship.
Yep. So yeah,
it's tough. It's tough being part of Gator Nation.
Yeah, like I said, why would I rather sit on the couch or go swimming with Cruz? Because my days are limited with the warm weather. So
I know. I'm just enjoying life right now during football season.
Exactly. You go to weddings and shit like that. Like what
festivities? Festivities.
That's great. Festivities. That's great that you get a wedding on a college football Saturday. Your team's playing Ball State and rolling up everybody.
I watched it. Who said I didn't watch it?
No, I know you did. I know. Does Florida State get off the schneid this week against Cal? What do you got? Buddy, yes or no?
Buddy,
yes or no?
Buddy, no. Cal is physical. Hey, hold on.
Good, you got it.
The only thing that if this is a noon game, I'm taking Florida State all the way. Coming from the West Coast to play a noon game on the East Coast, I think Cal's going to win.
No, they did. They did it a couple weeks ago. They played that noon game against Auburn. That was a noon kickoff on the Plains.
And what happened in the Plains?
Yeah, they whooped that ass. They look, like you said, physical. That's what I'm saying. That's a noon game. So now you're giving Cal even more time to not have to play early. Like they've already made this cross trip once. So it's not like they're like, oh, we've never been.
This is not picking on Florida State. What have you shown me to pick?
It's not picking on Florida State. Cal, like I say, Cal.
No, I'm just saying, what have they done for me to say I'm going to pick Florida State?
Exactly. I agree. The only reason they're getting
I picked them 3 weeks in a row. I picked Florida State 3 weeks in a row. I'm going Cal, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going Cal too. I think Cal wins. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything, but I think Cal gets it done. I think it'll look just like last week. It'll look like it's going to look like a 24-21.
I expect Cal to go man on man, man to man, which you would think Florida State's receivers would be better than Cal's DBs. And if I'm Cal, I got 7 in the box and I'm blitzing off the bus, as Sam Williams would say.
Yeah.
We're blitzing off the bus and we're going to run the football right at them and we're just going to beat them up. And at this point, if you're a Florida State fan, why are you making that trek out west?
Yeah. Like I say, Cal, for all intents and purposes, going back to that, they didn't play anybody. They beat San Diego State last week. Obviously UC Davis was week 1, but going to Auburn, which is kind of like a lot of teams, foe, like Hugh Freeze has got them kind of turned up. They're going to be back. Mm-hmm. They got some star receivers, yada yada. I don't love Peyton Thorne, but they took it to Auburn. That game wasn't in Cal on the West Coast or anything. They went on the Plains and beat up, an Auburn team who still has SEC talent and good players.
Which was technically a 9 a.m. game for them.
That's what I'm saying. They held Auburn to 14 points, 2 touchdowns.
Wow.
So
it's just going to be
I think Auburn's offense is better than Florida State's right now. So,
Florida State's 132 in the nation rushing.
They're terrible.
They're in the hundreds in total offense. So you're not jumping out on a limb saying that their offense is terrible. But until they show any different, until they show life,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What have you done for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb?
Take those 2.5, tease it, add another 6. You're going to get almost 9 points on the parlay.
Yeah. I like the teaser. Adding some points. Hell,
yes, sir.
Go money line Cal. How about that? That's the lock of the week. Money line Cal.
Oh, your money line. Hey, I like it.
Money line, baby. Take it to the bank, Joe. Mm-hmm. Lock it in, Joe. Let's see if Joe agrees with us. We'll hit him up later on.
Yep.
But obviously, the Canes, baby, the team of the podcast that we need to talk about more of, the Miami Hurricanes. they're finally playing a team that has a little bit of a pulse comparative to a
Yeah.
Ball State and a FAMU and even the Florida Gators. So
Yeah.
I think I'd probably pick South Florida to beat the Gators right now. But I still like you guys big this week too. Like I think South Florida is a little over
They can't
inflated.
throw
That
the
whole
football.
they
They
can't throw
can't
it at
throw the
all.
football.
They are
They
terrible
that
passing.
so expect a lot of CJ Clark, Simeon Barrow, uh, a lot of the big boys, Marley Cook, a lot of the big boys to be on the line of scrimmage this week. I could see them going with a 3D tackle front. They probably won't, but I could see them doing that just to slow the football, just to try to slow the run game down. A lot of bigger bodies is what I'm saying, because that's all
Yeah.
they want to do. I think they had 200-yard rushers last week, and the quarterback had 80, whoever they played this past week. South Florida, they can't throw the football. And on the flip side, for Miami on offense, Jalen Rivers should be back at left tackle. All Inez Cooper should be starting at right guard. So the starting offensive line should be back protecting Cam, and I think we should be able to move the ball up and down the field. I say by 2 touchdowns.
Well, the line's 16.5. Y'all going to cover that?
I don't think we're going to cover.
What?
Hey, stick with my.
Yep.
You haven't figured out the method yet?
How about to blow these boys out the water?
If I say we don't cover, we cover.
Okay. Yeah, no, Miami's going to roll this game just like they have the first 2 weeks.
It wouldn't surprise me. It's just
I just
keep Cam upright.
I think everybody's might have been a little shocked a couple weeks ago with how Bama, played a tight game with them.
Hell, they put up 28 in the fourth quarter.
That's what I'm saying. The game was tight like in the third, but going back and watching some of that game from a couple weeks ago, they also had Bama had 3 touchdowns called back too early in the game, to where that game should have been way out of hand early, to where they got 3 off the board, so it was then I think they had 3 turnovers too. So that tells you how bad they are.
They're packing out Raymond James. They're talking trash to us. They're calling us scrubs and saying we haven't played anybody.
Yeah, they're lunatics. Y'all are going to win this game 49-7, just like I said y'all are going to beat Ball State last week. I'll give them 49-14, something like that. Y'all are going to. Cam Ward is lighting it up. He's the Heisman Trophy winner. You guys are going to the playoff. Everything. You guys are the shit. Balling. One game at a time, though. We won't look past this one.
Come on, Sponge.
One game.
Let's stick to it. Cam is playing it out of his mind right now.
He is, and I think he continues that because he's just playing with a lot of confidence. The scheme's going good. Defensively.
So, truthfully, this is how I feel when I look back at the couple good seasons the Canes have had the last 20 years, and most of it has been on quarterback play. But when you look at some of the collapses they've had, it's just because we had immature quarterbacks. Seriously, Malik Rozier and Jaron Williams and those guys. When you hear the stories years later about Jaron Williams is going out on a Friday night on South Beach and getting drunk off his ass and then still playing the game the next day. And then Malik is just, he really wasn't the guy, but he was the guy, by default.
Like when you say both of those names, those guys are bums, in my opinion. Like
compared to Cam, yes.
Well, just in general.
But what I'm saying is they still were the catalyst of the offenses.
Right.
But when you're not taking it serious and you're just out like, oh, we're on top of the world, and you know what I'm saying? And you're just getting full of yourself and you're not taking the prep serious and you're not taking the game serious. And I think that's where Cam is trying to show the NFL guys like, hey, I'm taking this shit serious. I'm ready for the next level. But it's going to get harder and harder every week. And this is going to be the first test. And like I say, they should blow out South Florida, but it's going to be a better defense than they've played the last 3 weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see. And that offensive style, Golish, I think is his name, likes to play that up-tempo style. But I think we have enough guys that we can rotate in on the defensive line to kind of slow it down a little bit, because when they play most people, they're on turbo. They're not no huddle. They're on turbo. They're trying to go. But I think we got enough bodies to slow them down.
Well, like I say, that what that does is turbo works both ways. It makes you go fast, but it also
if you're not converting,
you get 3 and outs, you're in trouble. Then you're down 21-0 real quick.
Yeah,
and the game's over essentially. But
Yeah,
like I say,
the Canes are going to win. I'm not. I don't even care about spreads when it comes to the Canes. I just want to see W's.
Exactly. No, I know.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are on a different level right now, and
Yeah.
so obviously you're going to have some games down the line that we'll look into.
Yeah.
To
We're
where
getting an ACC schedule
teams
starts
are going to
next
be
week.
better.
Yep.
Because you're going to start filing out some of those ACC teams that, like, again, I don't think NC State's overrated.
Yeah.
I don't know how good North Carolina is yet. Still, Virginia
Two
Tech.
teams we don't even play. We don't even play
Exactly.
NC State or Carolina.
I'm just naming off teams. Yeah. So
we play Va Tech next week, but like I say,
Virginia,
focus on South Florida and then get ready for ACC play.
Don't even talk about the Hokies.
Nope.
No Hokies.
Nope. No Hokie High. We'll do Hokie High next week.
Yeah, no. So I guess this week's slate is not, again, it's not as sexy.
There's some good games this week.
There's some good games. There's some sneaky good games for you.
See, you're all about the sexy. You're all about
I'm all about the marquee,
Michigan,
baby. I'm all about USC, Michigan,
the Bama, Texas.
Yeah, baby.
No, but I'm just saying, I think
I'm about the marquee matchups. But again, what happens is when you don't have some of the big time marquee matchups, you get some of the better games from some of the other teams to where like a game ends up being a good game when you're not.
Virginia Pitt was a good game. Carolina and LSU was a good game. Well, so you can't judge it yet.
No, but those I liked last week. So, all right, well, give me your games because, like I say, obviously the big ones are Michigan, USC, and Tennessee, Oklahoma. So
I think Illinois, Nebraska might be a decent game Friday night.
I'm intrigued by that because I want to see Illinois is better. But I think Nebraska is really good. So
I think Nebraska is pretty good.
I want to see if Nebraska bury them. Was it going to be a great atmosphere?
Do you know we make fun of these guys being in school for 29 years? You know who's still on the Illinois roster? You remember Pat Bryant?
Yeah, no.
He's still at Illinois.
No, he's a young guy still. He's the same age as Carson.
Dude, Pat Bryant played like 3 years at Miami, then transferred to Illinois.
Oh, no. I thought you were talking about the receiver, my boy Pat.
Pat Bryant from the West.
No, I'm talking about Atlantic Coast.
No. I'm talking about Pat Bryant that played at Miami. That's from Miami.
I don't even remember that guy.
Yeah, he came in with that good class. I forgot which class he was in, but he was in one of those. I was like, this dude's still there. But I think that's going to be a decent game to watch on a Friday night.
Pat Bryant's the Atlantic Coast guy.
Oh, I thought that was the other guy.
No, Pat Bryant is from Atlantic Coast. He was the same class as Carson.
Oh, okay. It still feels like he's been there forever.
He's a senior. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, he's a senior, so him and Carson were the same year.
He's been lighting it up though this season.
Yeah, he's there. I mean, he's been their number one receiver the last 2 years.
Yeah,
no, the guy still in college that's been forever is like the guy at Cincinnati, Xavier Henderson, CJ's little brother. He's still playing in college, dude.
Yeah. But
he's still a COVID year guy.
I think that's going to be a decent game for Friday night. Nothing else really to watch on a Friday night. USC, Michigan. I think USC is going to beat Michigan.
Michigan is terrible on offense.
They're terrible. What I'm curious to see in this game is Mason Graham and that defensive line. Can they give Mason, your boy Miller Moss enough fits to slow down that USC offense?
Gonna light that up.
I think so too. I think they're going to beat Michigan. I like the under just because I don't think Michigan could score, but I don't think USC is going to light it up on offense. When I say light it up, they're not going to put in the 40s.
You don't think they're going to quin you? Like I think they can. I don't think they'll score 40, but I think they can. I think they can win 35-7, 35-14, something like that.
Yeah, that still puts you right almost at the number at 44.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know what the number was.
The total's 44.5. I think USC is going to win. It's at Michigan. Man, Michigan, this is the worst year to not be good where all your top games are at home.
Yep. Yeah, no, like I say, you had Texas at home, you had USC there.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have a couple other big home games. I just offensively, Donovan Edwards and the running game, they can only do so much. Like when you don't have a good quarterback, you're going to stink. The walk-on was terrible.
He threw
like 5 picks last week. Yep. And obviously they didn't have confidence in Orgy to start the season. No. So what does that tell you? So they're going to him just to spark it.
They misread him bad.
Yeah.
And Sharon Moore, you're the head coach, you were the OC last year. How did you not see that?
Yeah.
how did you not see that we need to go out and get a portal guy maybe to come in? Did you believed in him that much? But
Yeah,
you
no,
still got to bring a guy in for competition.
No, it's for sure. Like I say, that I like USC. I like the offense. I do want to see USC what their defense is if it's continued to get better because they haven't played anybody in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
You're going up against backup quarterbacks essentially, or whatever you want to call it.
Right, but
Can they slow the game down? Can Michigan just kind of line it up and just run it at them? Maybe, I don't know. So I like that one, but the best game that I definitely want to watch the most is the Tennessee-Oklahoma game, which I think Tennessee is going to absolutely smoke Oklahoma too. So
I think they're gonna. I think Josh Heupel is sitting there and he's
Josh
playing off coy this week.
Yeah, Heupel wants to score 100. They're going to score. They're going to score 100 on us.
Dude,
he's going to try to.
He's worried about OU, how Bob fired him, and all of that, and he's just sitting there, and he's just like, "I'm not saying anything all week. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. We're just going to show up and play football." Blah blah. He's going to say all the right coach speak this week,
which he's done. He even said that out of respect for winning the last national title, that he thinks Oklahoma fans will probably not cheer as loud. They'll be quiet for the offense.
Yep.
Did you hear him say that?
Yeah, I think they're going to put a number. I thought the number would have been bigger than 7.
Yeah, I guess they're giving Venables in the home field at Oklahoma a little bit of love, but
yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, I like Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean Oklahoma. They blew out Temple week 1. Then Houston, where everybody was like, Oklahoma's going to blow Houston out. Get on this number. They are in a dogfight and win an ugly game, 16-12. They beat a pretty good Tulane team last week, but again, I think
Tulane just had that hangover from the K-State game going into overtime that they should have won.
So.
That's what I was telling Joe. I felt like Tulane coming off of that game, they should have won that game against K-State, and they blew it. But it is what it is, and then you just and that's what you try to tell people when people get mad at SEC fans saying the SEC is the best conference. It's like you literally have to get up week in and week out for these games, and you can't stay flat because you lost the heartbreaker in overtime. You got to get up and get ready for the next week and the next week and the next week. Whereas in some of these conferences, you really don't have to do that.
Yeah, I like Jackson Arnold. I loved him coming out of high school, so I like him at quarterback. But he can't be your leading rusher as well, too.
No,
like
I don't know what's going on. Front four.
I don't know what's going on with Oklahoma's rushing game. I mean, like I say, they've got 3 guys over 100, but again, Jackson Arnold's one of those guys, and he's your quarterback, and he's got the most carries as well. So
yeah, that's a problem.
Your quarterback is your leading carrier, and he's your leading rusher, but he's also your signal caller for throwing the ball down the field. I think Tennessee, what they do on offense, Nico's been great. Like freaking Sampson's been good at running back. We know what they got with Squirrel White and those guys on the outside.
And the defense is getting overshadowed by the offense. And their defense, their front 7 has been playing really good.
The defense is great. So, like I say, that's another guy. Like, should the Gators have tried to hire Heupel?
Yeah.
But again, either here nor there.
Utah against the Pokes this weekend.
I like this game.
They say Cam's playing, but we'll see.
Cam's going. I guess. Who do you like in this one? I've changed my tune on the whole Utah. I think Utah still.
I think it's all on Cam. If Cam can play and he's healthy,
they are 100% different. They're a different team when he is in and out. Because when he doesn't play, they're not good. When he does play, they're pretty solid. What's weird is I don't know, for some reason I feel Oklahoma State in this game. I don't know why. Like they had the big game. They had the big game a couple weeks ago with Arkansas where they put up a lot of points, but they probably should have lost that game. Yeah. They found a way to win. Ollie Gordon, he hasn't even really this year. No, he hasn't really gone off. He's gone off in spots, but I don't know. I don't know why I'm leaning Oklahoma State in this game. I'm not going to bet it because not going to.
Say it all depends on if Cam's playing. They keep saying he is. I think they said that last week and he didn't play. But if Cam's not playing, or if he does play and he's not really ready to go, Oklahoma State could win this game. And it wouldn't surprise me. Like you say, I'd stay away from this just because of the uncertainty of if he's playing or not.
Yeah. No, I agree. What other games you got? What other games you like?
Obviously the NC State Clemson game. I know it's not the greatest, sexiest game.
No,
I'm just curious to see.
You want to see where both of those teams are at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think
I'm in agreement.
NC State just ran through a buzzsaw of Tennessee, and then their next game they struggled a little bit, but they got the W. I can't remember who they played. It was someone they should have blown out, but I just thinking just they got beat up in Charlotte. They got beat up by Tennessee, and I think Clemson's going to beat them up. I don't think Clemson's going to cover that 20, but Clemson's going to win.
Yeah, well, like I say, Clemson obviously got blown out week 1 against Georgia. Then they actually beat the hell out of Appalachian State, which I think shocked a lot of people. Like they kind of like, okay, they didn't take the oh, we just got beat up. They went out and App State was kind of one of those. App State was kind of one of those teams that everybody kind of pegged maybe as one of those last teams to get in the playoffs.
Which is who speaking of that, Memphis would have to be in the driver's seat probably of that group of 5 champion getting into the playoff, just because even though they beat a bad Florida State team, they beat a Power 4 team.
Yeah, the other team is still, I think, Boise. I think because their schedule's a little bit better, but I don't know who. But yeah, App State was one of those teams, and like I said, Clemson just beat the hell out of them. And now they had a week off, so yeah, the line is big at 20, but I think Clemson. I don't think they have any trouble because I think they're better than NC State. I think NC State's a little bit maybe inflated to where they thought they were a back half top 25 team, but I don't know. I like what Clemson did against App State, but again, that's just they've only had two samples. They got blown out and then they blew somebody out. So I kind of want to see where they're at. Now a couple weeks removed from that game, but definitely that's a good one to circle as the early set. I'd rather watch that than Mississippi State and Florida.
Anyone else? I got 2 more that just for me, I'm just curious of peeking in. But any other game?
Who you got? Go ahead, holler.
Well, while you're looking, I just want to see how bad UCLA is, and can LSU we're still trying to figure out LSU.
They're bad. They're going to cover that number.
Yeah, I think UCLA is that bad, but I just want to see how where LSU is. They seem like a team that they're schizo, they're just up and down, up and down, up and down. And the other one is Georgia Tech,
like it.
Louisville.
Sorry, I like it. No, I like LSU just because they're playing at home too. They're not going out to the West Coast. UCLA does look terrible offensively. Obviously, there's going to be maybe a little bit of a hangover from the Carolina win just because it was such a exhausting style of game where you're down big and you just had to put so much into it.
That game was like 4 hours.
Yeah, it took forever. It did. Yeah. It was still because the Gator game got delayed going into it, and then I had to sit for 48 minutes while the Gator game was in a weather delay just to continue to watch the misery of Florida football last week. So yeah, that was another thing. Thanks LSU and South Carolina for making the game longer. But anyway, UCLA, it's gonna be a long year for old Deshaun.
Yeah. They're in LA though.
They are located. They are located in Los Angeles, California. Yeah. They are. And Georgia Tech, Louisville.
It might be a sneaky good game.
No, that's a good matchup just because you kind of want to see where Louisville is, and where does Georgia Tech go from having their first loss, from losing that Syracuse game. So I like that matchup for sure.
And then we get to see the debut. Get to see the debut of Archie's boy.
Yeah.
I'm so over this talk about people with Arch Manning. He should start. I'm like, he should not start over a Quinn Ewers, man.
No, Quinn Ewers is the guy.
Are we just nothing else to talk about on TV and the radio and all of that? So many people are like, if he has a good weekend and lights it up, he should be the starter. And I'm like,
no. Quinn Ewers is the guy. He's been the guy for the last 2 years.
I mean, he led your team to a Final Four, and he's still dialing up. Look, did they not watch him in Michigan?
That's what I'm saying. No, he's been great. That's the great part about what Sark's got is he's got 2 guys. So if one of these guys go down for a significant amount of time, you got somebody to step right in. And here's the other thing too. Arch isn't a true freshman. He's actually been through the rigors. It's not like we got DJ behind Mertz. It's true. Literally, Arch is in a sense a little bit of a vet already. So
I think he's going to get those 2 starts before they go into Georgia? Because I think they
Texas,
got this week.
Texas,
Mississippi State bye week.
Yeah, they're playing Louisiana Monroe this week.
I can't remember if it's the bye week next week or Mississippi State and then the bye week. It's one or the other.
Yeah, I'm about to pull it up right now. Yeah, they get ULM this week at home. That's the 8:00 kick on ESPN or SEC Network, whatever. And then they go Mississippi State at home as well. Then they go Red River. Then they got a bye week.
The bye week's after the Red River? Okay.
No, actually, it's not.
No,
they go
it should
straight
be
to
before.
Georgia. No. They play Oklahoma, then they play Georgia the very next week. The bye week's after Georgia.
Oh, yeah. There's no way you're starting Arch at a Red River. If Ewers is ready to go, he's it's not even a question.
Yeah, Texas.
That's when it starts picking up, man.
But they got it easy though.
Oh yeah, Texas' schedule is
like they got ULM and Mississippi State who are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Oklahoma, who we're gonna find out a lot about Oklahoma Saturday.
Yep.
And then
I just think you throw records out for that game because both teams are bad. They host for that.
The Georgia game is going to be obviously the big one.
Yeah.
But then let's just say they get clipped there. They lose that one. Here's who they close with: Vandy, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky. And then they get the old fashioned rivalry A&M game to close out the year, which could be a sneaky game. Oh hell no. No, I'm not going there for a vacation. Like, negative. That ship sailed after week 1 against Miami. DH and I were like, yeah, that trip's canceled before it ever started.
You could go over and get some Texas barbecue.
Yeah, this is what I meant to bring up too. Also, earlier, as far as your boy Billy Napier, his record at the Swamp, and versus other coaches, he's already lost 10-6 is what it is, but he's already lost literally more games
than Ronza. I saw it.
No, Spurrier and Meyer combined. You know what Stephen Orr's record was in the Swamp?
I think he only lost maybe 4 or 5.
Staggering, 68-5.
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere around there. And Urban was 4.
He was 27-5.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
So those two guys who played a ton more games lost 10 combined, and he's already lost 6. Even McElwain was 13-3. Like, what's sad is McElwain took us to the SEC title a couple of years. You know, we had some bad years even with the down coaches. You know, it's just
impatience.
It's more and more looking like they should have never fired Mullen. Which I think it was a little trigger happy as well. And if you're going to fire Mullen, you better go get the right guy, and they didn't. And now we're in this disaster that we're in, and it's it completely sucks because and
you better get the right guy. If you don't get the right guy, it could spiral even more.
Exactly, 100%, 100%. Like you look at like the Canes, like I think they finally got the guy that they needed to come home, Mario. Hell, I wanted Mario from Oregon. Before, like, I would have taken Mario, after Mullen or before Mullen or whatever, because it was like,
well, you just know. I think it's just you knew what you were going to get with Mario. You knew you were going to get a good offensive line. Team's going to be physical. He's going to out recruit everyone.
Yep.
And the only thing what I still question is game day decisions.
Those are, and that's still a question mark now.
And
for sure.
Still a question mark because we haven't been put in any of those positions yet.
So the good part about that is you just field the better team. So, and that's what he's doing. Yeah. You got the better players.
Yeah, I mean,
don't screw up. Yeah, it's like this. It's like, don't screw up guys to put me in a bad situation where I got to make a decision.
Yeah, he's gotten 3 top 10 classes just about.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
A nice mixture of portal guys.
Yeah, it's perfect for him to be where he's at. Like it's like to go home. So that was a perfect fit. I never liked Napier. Never did. It was just like, dude, you're telling me this guy's better than Dan Mullen, to whereas Dan Mullen had one of the better offenses in the league the last several years. Compare Mullen's offense to this shit we got that we're watching every Saturday. Dude, Mullen was in his bag.
Let's go.
Mullen had Kirby. Think about when Kirby,
come on, let it out.
Wheel route central on Kirby. Like, can we cover this wheel route? No, you can't.
Even Butters' offense was better than this.
Yeah. And that was pretty bad too. I didn't really care for that offense.
But it's still better. Hell, Muschamp's offense is almost better than this, and that was putrid.
Yeah.
At least you knew. At least you knew with Muschamp, they were going to line up and they were going to be physical and they were going to run the football.
And on top of that, at least I can hang my hat on. We had a really good defense. Like we ain't even got that. Our defense is trash too. It's
at least 3 phases of the game. You guys can't win 3. At least Florida State can win the special teams.
Yeah, they got a freaking kicker who can boom
and
it 50 yards.
And a punter. They got a kicker and a punter. Their special teams is lights out.
They just need to cross the 50 and start kicking field goals every time. Norvell just needs to line up and kick field goals anytime they get in his range.
Yeah.
Don't waste the opportunity not to get points, Mike.
No.
For DJ or somebody to screw it up.
No. Man, I can't wait, because if you guys don't win on Saturday, I can't wait to talk to you next week.
I mean, again, I probably won't even talk about the Gators anymore. The podcast.
We're just gonna cut out that segment. Exactly. No, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. We are talking about the Gators.
We can really brush past it and just be like, "Yep, the Gators lost again." All right, moving on to my.
Nope, we're talking about it, buddy.
Yeah, that's fine.
All podcasts.
We definitely will. We definitely will.
Big 3.
All right, dog. All right, dog. Well, it's a good wrap up. Like I say, we'll.
It was fun.
We'll watch some college football this weekend. Like I said, I hopefully I didn't jinx my Braves the other day talking shit to Ricky, but I was like, I had to. We'll see what's going on with these playoff runs here with the baseball. Got a little WNBA playoffs coming up for you.
Let's go Yankees.
The Yankees are finally looking good. Like they might be a team.
I'm about to break out the Yankee hat.
50 for 50 here with what about Shohei? Is he going to get 50-50?
Where is he at right now?
48-48.
With 10 games left?
Yeah, 10, 11 games, yeah.
I mean, unless they go Barry Bonds mode on him and not pitch to him, I don't see him not getting it.
Yeah, I think he'll do it. But
God, Shohei's a beast, dude.
He is a baller. He's a baller.
I would pay to see that in person. There's not a lot of things I would pay to see in person when it comes to sports.
Yeah,
that's one of those guys you want to pay to see and play.
Yeah,
like when you just hear the contact of the bat or that ball when he hits those home runs, you just like, that don't even sound real.
He's a baller for sure. But
all right, man.
Yeah, it's another one wrapped in the books. We'll get back on it next week, and we'll talk about, like I say, we'll be week 5.
We're gonna talk about the Gators and Noles next week.
Talk about the Gator. It'll be a Cry Fest. We might need to bring in some Seminole fans to help the Cry Fest. We've got a few that I know are just in misery right along with me right now. Meanwhile, Barrow's over there sitting on an island, cloud 9.
That's correct.
But anyway, all right, people, appreciate everybody. Hit the like, subscribe button, holler at you, talk some trash in the comments, whatever, and we'll see you next week.
Later.